We'll get started shortly, folks.
The second, the first or the second, right? First.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Education Committee hearing. We have about, how many items we have here before? Seven items before us. We're gonna talk about them, discuss them, see what we can do to improve or, make it a little better. I'm excited about this work today. And happy St. Patrick's Day for all those who celebrated St. Patrick's Day this weekend. How about that? And I'll say thank you all for all the birthday wishes that you provided for me during this weekend. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it to my co-chair and we're going to get this committee meeting started. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see so many faces in person. And thanks to those who are joining us on Zoom. We hopefully have a fairly quick agenda this afternoon, but I'm sure we will have plenty of questions and discussing the path forward for a number of initiatives. With that, to the rankings, Senator Berthel.
Thank you to the co-chairs. Good afternoon, everyone. I think we're approaching the end of our work, possibly before the end of this week, which is great for the committee. As the House Chair just spoke to, I'm sure there will be some questions and comments and some concerns expressed today more for clarification. Of course, as we always say at the beginning of these meetings, a no vote does not necessarily indicate a complete discontent with the bill, but perhaps instead the option to reserve for a yes vote as we get to the floor, as the bill may change a little bit through time. So with that, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative McCarty.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon and welcome to everyone. Looking forward to discussing the 7 bills on the agenda, and pleased that many of these will go forward in a bipartisan approach. Thank you.
All right, and with that, we'll move on to item number 3, bills for review. Up first, may I have a motion to JFS to appropriations LCO 3115?
So moved.
I have a motion by Senator McCrory, a second by Senator Berthel. So Senate Bill 14, this came to us from the governor. Section 1 talks about the Office of Dyslexia and Reading Disabilities with an SDE being tasked with verifying teacher prep programs and teacher certification applicants to ensure that they are getting everything that we have asked them to get with respect to legislation passed in the last couple of years. Section 2, the bill no longer requires SDE, Center for Literacy Research and Reading Success, to be responsible for providing teacher prep programs certain materials. Section 3 requires SDE to develop compliance measures and audit procedures to determine educator prep program compliance. So there's going to be a lot of talk over the next couple of years with respect to educator prep programs tied to the certification work that we're going to be doing and talking about later on this week, and just ensuring that we are doing all that we can to best prepare our future educators for real world application into the classroom. The S language that you have removes the model policy on cell phones, removes SDE developing the strategies for allocating expenditures for administrative costs, and then we just renumbered certain sections. Any questions on this? Representative McCarty.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Could you just reassure us that as we look at the teacher preparation programs, and a good deal of work has gone through within the department and in the preparation on dyslexia, could you just verify that the teacher preparation programs will maintain those requirements that were set in place regarding dyslexia with teacher preparation programs?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that question. I know there was some concern, and I'm sure a number of us received a few emails. Yes, this will ensure that everything that we have done and passed over the last couple of years is intact and will be included within the conversations around how to best move our EPPs forward.
I appreciate that very much. And then just one other piece of clarification. These will be in compliance with intermediate administrator and supervision programs. Can you identify the intermediate administrators in the programs? Sorry.
Those would be your principals, your 092. There you go. So it's good to have principals on the board or on the committee. Your 092 is your principals.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions from members? Senator Berthel.
Mr. Chairman, if there are no other questions, I would like to make a motion to begin a consent calendar.
Are there any objections to the creation of a consent calendar? Seeing none.
Mr. Chair, I would ask that we place item number 1, Senate Bill 14, on the consent calendar.
Any objections? Seeing none, so placed. All right, item number 2, may I have a motion to JFS to appropriations LCO 3111, an act concerning early child care. May I have a motion?
So move.
And a second? I have a motion from Senator McCrory, a second from Representative Leeper. This is House Bill 5346. So sections 1, 2, and 3 discusses the lapses within various early childhood programs and moving those over to a fund that was created last year that has not been seated yet with money. This is part of an ongoing conversation with respect to the early childhood world. The advocates and the legislators who are focused on finding a way to best fund and appropriately fund our early childhood programs. This is also tied to a bill that is working its way through the finance with respect to the trust fund itself. And so we hope to make some movement around that. Section 4 keeps the language that we had with respect to Department of Administrative Services, taking an audit or continuing the audit that I believe is currently ongoing within the department now to see about any current state properties that may be better utilized for housing, training opportunities for adults, and also early child care. Are there any questions on this? Representative McCarty.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And this is really just a comment that, and thank you for explaining that this could be subsumed into other bills going forward, the sections on this section 1 and 2. But the conversations to continue as we're trying to build the funding up for early childcare. It's not in any means meant to limit the commissioner after with the funding in her flexibility with programs. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'll also note the S language removed the old section 5, which was studying a way in which to essentially find a way that babysitting within certain settings would be eligible for meeting the requirements within higher ed opportunities. That was pulled out as there needs to be a little bit more conversation and discussion around that. Any other? Senator Berthel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So there was some discussion, and for those of us that also sit on appropriations, there was some discussion, perhaps a little bit of concern that if we were to create a mechanism for not allowing things to lapse. And I know that this is a JFS to approach, so it will be subject to the full scrutiny of the committee as it goes forward. But there was a concern that we could be opening a very large can of worms, if you will, with some non-lapsing funds. So I'm not sure. I don't think that stops the bill from getting out of here today, but there was a genuine concern about doing that. Even though the intent is very genuine, we're trying to preserve funds so we can continue to fund early childhood education. I don't know if there's any other comments from this side. If not, I'm happy to move that we place this on the consent calendar.
Are there any objections to placing this on the consent calendar? Seeing none, so placed. Moving along to item number 3, Senate Bill 286. May I have a motion to JFS to appropriations LCO 3113?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion by Senator McCrory, a second by Senator Berthel. This is our second early child bill. So section 1 includes the presumptive eligibility for child care workers with respect to care for kids. Section 2 discusses the expansion of the early childhood incubators that we supported and passed last year. The original language would have opened this up to unlimited number. We did hear from the Commissioner of the Office of Early Childhood and took the recommendations to limit this to 20 licenses. And this would specifically be 20 locations, if I have that correct. And that license is good for a term of 4 years. The S language removed the old section 1, which was the compensation schedule. And as mentioned before, we went with the recommendations for the 20 incubator license. Any questions or concerns on this? Representative McCarty.
Just a comment that in effect that it moves the incubator licensing from 7 current sites to 20. And is there a rationale to why it was limited to 20 at this time?
I believe that was due to this being a newer program, and so rather than opening it up and doing that, it was best to keep it tailored to see how this will actually perform and how we can best then see about an expansion.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Senator Berthel.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we place this item on the consent calendar.
Are there any objections to placing on the consent calendar? Seeing none, so placed. We'll move along to item number 4, Senate Bill 287. May I have a motion to JFS to the floor, LCO 3.
Sorry, so moved. I'll say finish.
An act concerning indoor air quality in schools. I have a motion by Senator Kushner. I have a second by Senator McCrory. So it's 287. So this is the ongoing work of 2 of our members who co-chair this, that Representative Leeper and Senator Kushner. And so to eliminate their need to come back to us each and every year, we are moving their working group out to 2030 so that they continue their work and align that with the timing in which the district should have the evaluations and assessments done. Their final report will be due in 2030. We do have the language in here that continues with what the proposal was with respect to 20% of your schools each year. So over 5 years, you would hopefully have that 100% done. We did add at the request of the districts, mechanical engineers or mechanical contractors licensed in HVAC. A lot of times these are the folks who are already doing the work. And so there was a concern that that those listed were going to limit the capability of districts to find folks to be able to get this done in a timely manner, as well as adding additional costs into their typical plans for evaluations and assessments. We also continue on with the language that was proposed for the commissioner being able to grant award a grant for the work having to be done with respect to the evaluation and the inspection. And the S language on 287, simply just extended that life of the task force to 2030. Any questions on this? Representative McCarty.
I didn't raise my hand, but okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Could you just explain how there's more flexibility in this bill to do the evaluations and the inspections? What does it require of the districts? Is there a certain percentage they have to meet going forward? And I think we'll have a few questions on this proposal.
Absolutely. So if we look at lines 113 through 126, we are very clear that 20% of the schools each year will be inspected. So this will give flexibility to the districts, both in manpower as well as financially. So they're not required to do this all in one hit. Obviously, with the limited number of people who are able and available to do this work, that also seems to be an ask that is unlikely to be fulfilled. And so adding in the additional mechanical engineers and HVAC folks, that also provides flexibility for our districts to be able to utilize a lot of times, again, the folks that they're already using for a lot of this work.
And if the district is still not able to have those professionals in place, is there something in the proposal that allows the districts to ask for an extension?
There is the ability to ask for an extension, and there is the ability to ask for a pass should they have already a scheduled inspection and evaluation up to date. And that essentially is good for 1 year. And then they have to go back and have that conversation again.
Thank you very much.
Representative Belinsky.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I have a particular interest in the indoor air quality bill. I have sort of been involved in this for about 11 years because I have a constituent who's a retired disabled teacher who was affected by the toxins in a school building, and this is something that's quite personal to her, and she's been part of the task force. So I don't ordinarily vote for mandates, but this one, for the public health reason, is one that I do support, because we can't have what happened to my constituent happen to any other teachers or students. I also have concerns with the date that we're pushing out the study to 2030. I just want the assurance that we're not reducing the priority of this particular issue, because I would hate to see this proposal built without the flexibility that to address the schools that are right now currently in need. So and I believe that you're about to be able to with the bill's proponent be able to tell me that we have that flexibility. So but I want to just hear it in public. Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that question. Yeah. So the kicking it out to the 2030 aligns with hopefully having those 5 years of the districts being able to do their assessments at the 20% each year. And we'll actually keep this as a priority so that the folks on that working group can continue to talk and continue to evolve what this program currently is and what it could be, and hopefully finding additional ways to provide that relief to the districts. Because as you mentioned, while not a new mandate, this is an update to an existing mandate and actually provides greater flexibility to assist the district, as this committee made a very concerted effort this year to try to shy away from any new mandates, so that we don't have to have that conversation. I appreciate that question, though, Senator or Representative.
Thank you very much for that,
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that.
Yep. Representative Zufkes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your comment about no more mandates. So my question, you just made mention that a school could ask for an extension and be granted or not granted, I guess. Who would give that extension?
Give me 1 second to find that in the bill. Yeah, sorry about that, Representative. It's DAS who would do that.
Okay, thank you. And just hopeful it's an easy process, and will we know what that process would be when they ask for the extension and what is required, what that process is?
Are you asking what that process looks like?
I'm just asking, I don't want to get into another situation in another bill that we've had about asking for extensions or waivers or any of that. So I just want to make sure if a school asks for extension, who grants that? And I don't have to know this minute what the process is, but I just want to make sure that it is a easy process.
One would hope that it is. And yes, you notice I didn't use the word waiver when I talked about getting a pass for a year. Yes, so I mean, it clearly states in the bill in lines 119 what that reason would be for. And so we hope that there would be no deviation from that language as written, as intended, and as spoken here today. Absolutely. Any other questions? Senator Kushner online.
Thank you. I just would like to add clarification to Representative Walensky's question. This is not a study that we're extending. It is actually the working group will continue to function so that we can monitor the progress. But the statute requires that schools begin the process of doing the certified inspections. And the flexibility that good chair spoke to is that we recognize in the working group, we had complete consensus around the idea that it would be too difficult for districts to complete all of these assessments this year or by 2025. And therefore, we enacted this through the statute, but we'll be enacting flexibility, only requiring 20% of the schools be inspected per year, giving them a 5-year period to complete the assessment. And then thereafter, they will be on track for every 5 years, renewing assessment. So I think that I just want to make sure people understand we're not studying the issue per se, although I'm sure there will be a lot of information you will gain from these assessments that will help us to understand how we really eliminate the problems that we have now with indoor air quality. But in fact, the process is beginning, in fact, will be facilitated by this statutory change. So appreciate the support of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to, I intend to vote for this bill. And I understand the concerns my good friend from Newtown brought up. And I know my colleague from Fairfield has worked really hard on the air quality as well. And I recognize the importance of it. But I do just want to say, the very first line of this bill says that we're going to amend section 370 of Public Act 22 that was amended in 23, and we're now amending it again. So in each of the last 3 years, we've come back to this. Now, I have great appreciation for what we did here with the 5 years, and even more appreciation that we've expanded it to the contractors who can do this. But I have to ask, at what expense? You know, I don't know from district to district how much money they've put into paying extra to get somebody into their district because they thought they had to meet this mandate. And I only bring that up because I think, not just in this committee, but this legislature at large, we really need to be thoughtful and conscientious when we do these things of the impacts beyond what we're trying to accomplish and how that could happen. And I understand that nobody's perfect, right? Not even people who are in the Senate are perfect. But but when we do things here and we come back and fix them, and I understand that's going to happen, it is imperative that we consider all of these things on a long-term scale so that we don't have these impacts. Because while we wait to come back into session, our municipalities and our boards and our school districts are struggling with this. Is the legislature going to fix it or not? They have budgets to write. They have a lot of issues to contend with at home that we really, really need to be conscientious about. So I appreciate the leadership of this committee bringing this bill forward. I frankly think this is going to be the fix now, most specifically with broadening the scope of who can do these inspections. I also think it's going to limit the cost when we think about the rules of supply and demand that we've operated on for several generations, that this is going to make it much more cost effective for our districts to get to where they want to be and get the best air for our kids and those who serve our kids in our schools. So thank you, but I did want to make that point.
Yeah, no, and that's a point well taken. And I think that comment will also be nicely made later on this week when we are debating our mandate relief legislation. So I think the committee is trying to make a very specific effort to do what we can to ensure that our districts are getting specificity from us and also getting the necessary resources anytime we're asking them to do anything.
And if I, just later this week, I hope that when we're discussing mandate relief, we don't do it in the context of new mandates. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I can't make any promises. All right, any other questions? Senator Berthel.
Mr. Chair, I move that we place this item on the consent calendar.
Are there any objections to placing this on the consent calendar? Seeing none, so placed. All right, so that brings us on to item number 6, House Bill 54.
I think.
Oh,
it's
did I skip one?
number
Oh, I'm sorry, number 5. Hello. Senate Bill 288, an act implementing the recommendations of the Department of Administrative Services regarding the school building project statutes. May I have a JFS to the floor, LCO 3112. I have a second, or excuse me, a motion by Senator McCrory, a second by Senator Berthel. All right, so this is building off of legislation from last year with respect to inclusive municipalities and providing additional reimbursement rates for districts for school construction projects. This talks about regional school districts and the fact that the reimbursement rate would be for the town in which that school is physically located. We do have a definition here of inclusive municipality. That is in line 14, which goes unchanged. We have a bunch of cleanup in here that takes moves things from Commissioner of Education over to the Commissioner of Administrative Services, as they are the ones who oversee this program. So that's section 5, 4, 6, 7, 8. And then the S language on this. We removed the brackets. If you remember the proposal brought to us by the Department of Administrative Services, they were asking to remove the requirement that they develop regulations around some of this work. We asked the question, but we weren't really sure if we got the answer that we were looking for as to the why. So we removed their brackets, and so that language is existing language and stays existing language within this proposal. So they would still continue to have to develop regulations as opposed to having the ability to do policies, guidelines that may or may not align with overall missions of the legislature. With that, Representative McCarty.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. If you could go back just for a moment to section 1, and let me say that I'm pleased to see that it's an incentive in the bill, as we've dealt with some bills in the past that were not incentives to school construction percentages. And but the bill talks about being an inclusive municipality. Could you just go over the definition of what it means to be an inclusive municipality?
Absolutely. And again, unchanged in this bill, if everyone looks at line 14, inclusive municipality has a total population that is greater than 6,000, has less than 10% of its housing units determined by the commissioner to be affordable, has adopted and maintained zoning regulations that promote fair housing as determined by the commissioner, provide a streamlined process for the approval of development multifamily housing of 3 units or more, that permit mixed-use developments, allow accessory dwelling units, and it has constructed new affordable housing units that are restricted through deeds, covenants, or other means to individuals or families whose income is 80% or less of the state median income, and that equal or less 1% of such town's total housing units in the 3 years immediately preceding the submission of an application under this section.
Thank you very much for that definition and clarification.
You are very welcome. Any other questions on this, Senator Berthel?
I'm seeing no questions. I would ask that we place this on the consent calendar as well.
All right, any objections to placing on the consent calendar? Seeing none, so placed. Now it takes us to item number 6, House Bill 5416, an act concerning various revisions to the education statutes. May I have a motion to JFS to appropriations LCO 3150. I have a motion by Representative McCarty, a second by Senator Berthel. So section 1 discusses the State Department of Education developing a plan to replace a statewide mastery examination. Section number 2 is similar to language we had last year with respect to one of our regional school districts, and this will simply allow, as Goodwin University Magnet Schools continues from separating from LEARN, the tenure of the teacher will continue to follow them. Section number 3 now permits the town of Madison into the open choice program with sending district with New Haven. This also has a requirement that the revenue that a district would receive from open choice programming, make sure that it's included within their budgeting process at the local level to ensure that those revenues are included when they're doing their budgeting. Section 4 provides a review of our racial imbalance processes. Section 5 this updates our annual training programs with respects to EpiPens or emergency first aid to students experiencing an allergic reaction. SDE and DPH have to, by a law, develop these jointly. Section 6 would not allow a local or regional board of education to require any sort of sign off by a parent saying that they will volunteer as a condition of enrollment in said school under the jurisdiction of said board. Section 7, upon a number of conversations that a number of members have had with our local community colleges, it seems as though some of those relations are currently strained due to the impact of cuts at that at the level of higher education. And so we want to ensure that there is a continued partnership between higher ed and our local schools to ensure that our students know their opportunities outside and past high school, should they decide to go to higher ed. Section 8 allows those that are currently license exempt. We do have a list of those folks in statute to be able to stock EpiPens. Section 9, this will help our local boards of education in their budgeting process, as unfortunately the state budgeting process and our local budgeting process do not align. And so this would require the State Department of Education by December 31st to provide updated estimates with respect to education funding to our districts so that they have real numbers to be able to budget a little bit better. Section 10, we have a change in the notification with respect to restraint and seclusion, going from 24 hours to same day. And we talk about how that notice shall be made. Section 11 updates the language that we had with respect to serious disruptions in the classroom. That would then allow a teacher to request a meeting, and then that district would then put a plan in place. What was absent from that language was the involvement of any of the parents or guardians and families. And so if something rises to that level, that's where having a teacher request something like this. I think the committee feels that the parents and the guardians should be involved and notified of what is going on. And whatever report comes out of that would also go to the parents and the guardians. The S language here removed the old section 1, which was the Greek genocide language. It removes the old 4 through 6 crisis response. It removes section 13, which was also requiring the Special Ed Task Force to administer a survey. As you know or are aware, the Special Ed Task Force has another year left of their work, where we're looking forward to robust recommendations for the 2025 session. So we hope that they'll be able to have these conversations internally and with the State Department of Education. And with that, I will open it up to any questions. Representative McCarty.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think we'll have several questions from our members on this bill, but if I may, one of the concerns in section 6, it prohibits boards from requiring parental involvement, such as volunteering as a condition for enrollment of students in a school under the jurisdiction of the board. Do you have knowledge that this occurs in any of the schools? This was a question that was asked, that we did not see that this could be occurring in schools. Could you just expand upon that?
Yes, it was brought to our attention that something that's similar to this had been presented. It was never followed through with, and that the families still were able to have their child attend. But when we're talking about the opportunity for various choice programming and wanting to ensure that we are supporting choice, we don't want there to be any reason why a parent or guardian may look at something and immediately think that they're not able to take advantage of that opportunity. Simply because they think that this is a definitive roadblock that would not allow their child that opportunity.
Okay. Thank you for that. And then in section 9, would you just go over again the section on the ECS piece and notifying the districts by the end of the year? If you want to talk about that a little, I think that's an important addition.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we likely heard from a number of our districts over the last couple of weeks who just received the updated ECS allocations that they're expecting to get for fiscal year 25. But I also believe that many of our boards of education have already gone through their process of budgeting for fiscal year 25. And so if they were to have these numbers a bit earlier, they'd be able to have something a little bit more with respect to real numbers for that budgeting process.
I think this will be welcome news to our districts.
I will note that the State Department of Education did push back on this. So this will be an ongoing conversation with the department to ensure that, we want to make sure this gets to districts. We want to make sure it gets to districts correctly.
And
So that will be an ongoing conversation.
perfect. And then the last question that I have on the new section 10 with notification on restraint and seclusion. That will be same day notification. Do I have that correct? And will the task force that we have in place, they will be coming back to us with additional recommendations moving forward?
Yes, that will be same day. And we do look forward and hope that the task force is going to come back with a number of recommendations, including language proposals around restraint and seclusion.
Thank you.
Representative Linsky.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The technical revisions that are being handled in this bill and the way the committee has handled them has been refreshing on just about everything here. And I do plan to support this bill. I want to just personally say thank you to the leaders of the committee for their work and their recognition of testimony that was made in regard to sections 4 and 5 of what was House Bill 5416. If anybody's looking for the section numbers, the bill's been renumbered because those two sections are no longer in there. That was a response to the concerns that were voiced by both by a whole bunch of people, including Commissioner Tucker Russell, about advertising that Connecticut schools might not necessarily be prepared for crisis situations, but also to the respect shown to Newtown's first selectman, Jeff Capisi, its police chief, David Kulgren, its superintendent of schools, Chris Melillo, and the consideration that was given to the written testimony of our former first select persons, both Dan Rosenthal and the person who served Newtown from 2007 to 2015, one woman that did some pretty amazing things in those days, and her name is E. Patricia Lodraw. Everybody knows her as Pat, and everybody with a unified voice, my community did speak out with concerns, and they were heard. Mr. Chairman, for that, I am very, very grateful and look forward to the engagement of Newtown's officials in this process, should it go forward.
Thank you, Rep. Linsky, and we appreciate that commitment. Representative Zokis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And there is some good things in this bill for sure. My question is, and I just want to make sure, because these things obviously affect our schools. And I just want to make sure that our superintendents and our Board of Eds and all those folks were involved with this.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
Senator Berthel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was looking to see if anyone else had a question. Section 4 requires the State Board of Education to study the current law addressing racial imbalances, and then defines what they would be doing in terms of that study. I think that it would be helpful if we could understand what a racial imbalance is.
Yeah, Senator Berthel, if you're okay with that, I'm actually going to turn this over to our good vice chair, who brought this proposal forward.
Thank you.
Representative Leeper.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the question, Mr. Ranking Member. So as defined in statute, a racial imbalance is defined as any school that is 25% more minority or actually non-white students than the district average for that grade configuration. So elementary schools compared to elementary schools, for example, middle schools would be compared to middle schools, high schools to high schools for that district. So if you have one of those schools greater than 25% non-white, more than the district average, you are deemed out of racial balance by the state. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, and just to add, this has not been updated in quite some time. And so I think with the ever evolving demographics of the school systems around the state of Connecticut, it's likely time to ask to have this taken, looked at again.
Okay, I appreciate the Vice Chair's explanation and the answer to the question. I think there was just some, perhaps just a lack of understanding of what is going on here. And the study is going to, will, I guess my question is, what do we hope to learn from the study? I mean, I see what it includes, but is it to better apply this policy, or I mean, what's the intent?
I think the intent is to see how to best move forward when we're asking districts to quickly adjust their enrollment and where students may be placed, that we are doing that using sound judgment, research, and the most effective strategies possible so that every child is provided a high learning quality learning experience.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that additional dialogue. Just real quickly, I know we've had a couple of questions on other sections. One question that did come up with respect to Section 8 that I want to make sure that we have clarity on. This application or this use of an EpiPen by a school, someone who's working in a school would be, first of all, that person who's administering it is trained under Connecticut law on how to administer that, and that this is being done truly in an emergency situation. So I'll use an example. If I'm a student at some school, I don't have a known allergy to bees, and I'm out on the playground and I get stung by a bee, and I've had a horrific allergic reaction to that we're allowing this trained worker in the school to administer an EpiPen to potentially save my life. Is my understanding correct?
Yeah, that's correct. These would be the students that don't have the prior written authorizations of a parent or guardian. Correct.
Okay, and if I read the content of the bill correctly, it also does allow for a parent to opt their child out of this provision.
That is correct.
Okay. And thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions by members? Senator McCrory.
Question, for Rep. Leeper. In regards to Section 4, this is for traditional schools. This is not a magnet school, conversation. Is that correct? For Section 4, the, addressing racial balances?
Representative Leeper.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chair. I think it's for all schools.
Okay, so there's racial balances. When we talk about magnet schools, there's certain percentages that we need to have for, I don't know the term y'all call, not y'all, we call, children who are low income, African American, anything we call. So you're saying we're going to address all these issues, not just in our traditional schools, but also in our magnet schools numbers, because what we do know in a lot of our magnet schools, a lot of kids are not able to participate and attend a magnet school because the low number of white students that are in there, which causes a whole lot of number of other children who cannot go to the school. So are we addressing and looking at that also? Do you, Mr. Chair?
Representative Leeper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for further clarifying the question. The way the statute is written currently is it compares schools within the same grade configuration within district. So often our magnet schools either are their own district, is that correct? Or if a school is over 50% non-white, they are exempt from the racial imbalance statute applying to them.
Yeah, if I could just cut in. So this is not with respect to choice programming. This would be for the towns.
That's fine.
Yeah. Correct. And would not supersede any sort of lawsuits that have required us to do certain things. Correct.
Just wanted to make sure that's on the record. You know what we're talking about and what we're trying to do here.
Absolutely, good senator.
A lot of laws that was applied before you and I got it.
Absolutely. That's what we're trying to fix. Any other questions from legislators? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you take the roll?
Roll call vote on HB 5416, LCO 3150, JFS 2 appropriations. Representative Curry,
Yes.
Senator McCrory,
Yes.
Representative McCarty,
Representative McCarty votes yes.
Senator Berthel,
Yes.
Representative Leeper,
Yes.
Senator Winfield, Representative Arzeno,
Representative votes yes.
Representative Belinsky,
I'm sorry. Representative Belinsky, votes yes.
Representative Brown,
Rep. Brown votes yes.
Representative Candelaria,
Representative Candelaria votes yes.
Representative Carney, Representative Chaleski, Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Cook, Representative Cooley,
Representative Cooley votes yes.
Representative Dauphiné,
Dauphiné votes yes.
Representative Felipe.
Representative Felipe votes yes.
One more time, Representative.
Representative Felipe votes yes.
Senator Flexer. Representative Fonsello.
Representative Fonsello votes yes.
Representative Jenga. Representative Gibson.
Representative Gibson votes yes.
Representative Haynes.
Haynes votes yes.
Senator Harding. Representative Howard. Representative Dominique Johnson.
Representative Dominic Johnson votes yes.
Representative Susan Johnson.
Representative Susan Johnson votes yes.
Representative Kennedy. Representative Khan. Senator Kushner.
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Senator Maroney.
Senator Maroney votes yes.
Representative Mara. Representative McGee.
Rep. McGee votes yes.
Senator Miller.
Senator Miller votes yes.
Representative Napoli. Representative Paris. Representative Poulos.
Rep. Poulos votes yes.
Representative Rader.
Representative Rader votes yes.
Representative Reddington Hughes.
Reddington Hughes votes yes.
Representative Roberts.
Representative Roberts votes yes.
Representative Emmanuel Sanchez. Representative Robert Sanchez.
Representative Robert Sanchez votes yes.
Senator Seminara.
Yes.
Representative Smith.
Smith votes yes.
Representative Welander.
Representative Welander votes yes.
And Representative Zupkis.
We will be holding votes open until 4 o'clock today. Moving along to item number 7, Senate Bill 5, an act concerning school resources. May I have a JFS to the floor, LCO 3096.
Second.
I have a motion by Representative McCarty, a second by Representative Cook. So Senate Bill 5, Section 1 discusses the excess cost grant, and that beginning in fiscal year 25, we would eliminate the current tiered system and fully fund the, we would remove the within available appropriations language and fund excess cost. Section 2 discusses our continued work on AI here in the legislature. And instead of asking SDE to create, we are going to require that SDE select and utilize an existing AI tool for educators and students that can be used in the classroom. Obviously, this would all have to comply with FERPA, which that's also an ongoing conversation anytime we're talking about AI. Section 3 talks about the AI training and that the State Department of Education will now consult with the Connecticut Commission on Education Technology to develop the learning program for educators and students on how to use AI. Section 4 talks about the school mapping data grant. and creates a new school mapping data grant for local school districts to be administered by DESP. If you remember, we had language in the originally proposed bill that was taken out and replaced with, I believe, Senate Bill 229 out of public safety. And so this discusses the ways in which we can ensure that our first responders and our schools all have the same information if and when they have to respond to any sorts of issues. We also are having the ongoing conversations to ensure that there are FERPA protections, FOIA protections. We want to make sure that companies that are being asked to do some of this don't have the capability or ability to share this beyond the way in which they will agree to. So those conversations are also ongoing and ensuring that we will make sure that this is tight as we can get it in the legislation. Section 5 around social media requires SDE and the RESCs to implement a pilot program to provide 50 schools in the state with a curriculum designed for students in grades 6 to 12 that explore the impact of social media. Section 6 is Care for Kids and expands the Care for Kids. Originally, we had the language tied to baby bonds. This now removes the baby bonds and ties it to Medicaid eligibility. And then Section 7, we have more language around indoor air quality that will require each Board of Ed to submit the records for the maintenance of its HVAC system to DAS anytime those records have been updated. I think I went through the language that was removed, so no longer requiring SDE to create it. SDE now has to consult with the Connecticut Commission for Education Technology. And the baby bonds to Medicaid and the renumbering of sections. With that, I'll open up for questions. Representative McCarty.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure the committee will have a number of questions on this particular proposal, but if I may just say that I'm so very pleased to see Section 1 in there that will fully fund after 4.5 times rate to fully fund the excess special costs grant. I think this is a proposal that we have seen many of our members submit, and I think it will remove the tiered approach, the tiered structure. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you for that. And then under the artificial intelligence sections, I think it is very important that we do the development and the training of our teachers to see how this will impact student learning. But just as over the years, we've been very concerned about student data and privacy, can you assure that they will be in compliance with FERPA?
Yes.
Okay, that I think is important to get on the record. And then just finally, the pilot programs that will be developed with the Department of Education and REST, do we, and of course, this will probably have to take on additional conversation, but do we have any information about how that pilot program will come about? And it mentions 50 schools in there. And does this bill go over to, it's a JFS to the floor, but imagining we need to have more details on that pilot program, so.
Correct. And I'm sure once it goes to the floor, there'll be more work done, I'm sure, within the Senate and our colleagues there to tighten this up and ensure that we are able to better answer those questions.
Okay, I'll leave the rest. I have a number of committee members, so thank you.
Absolutely. Representative Johnson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. And just with respect to the special ed portion of this and, removing the tiered reimbursement rates, just to clarify, we're saying that now we're going to fully fund the 80% no matter what tier you're in? Is that how you interpret that?
Well, tiers will no longer exist, so there would be no matter what tier you're in. So you would be funded.
So will we still be cutting the special ed excess cost grants then, no matter what tier you're in across the board cuts? Is that what you're saying?
Ask that again.
So right now we have tiered cuts in the special education excess cost grants. So some are 72%, some are 75%, some in terms of the reimbursement. So what I'm asking is if we get rid of it, and I presume that those cuts were based on whether you were in a very poor district or whether you were in a district that wasn't quite as poor in accordance with how we deal with the education cost sharing grant. So what I'm asking is now, if we get rid of the tiers, are we going to say, hey, you're getting 100% of the 80%?
We're now saying we will fully fund excess cost.
Okay, even though we said that last year, we didn't.
Well, I think that we didn't say that last year. I think by doing $181 million of what was an estimated $200 million cost, immediately we knew we weren't fully funding excess cost at 100%. Unfortunately, excess cost is one of those items that is a same year request and reimbursement. And so there is no way for us to truly understand and guess what those costs may be on a year-to-year basis. But I think this is part of a much larger conversation with respect to the costs around excess costs and why we have those costs. And I think going back to the conversation earlier with respect to the special ed task force, that they are hopefully, well, we know they are having these conversations on cost containment issues around those private providers and how we may best incentivize our districts to possibly build out their own programming to keep some of these students in-house. Because as we know, with one student could throw your budget off, $250,000. And if that's a kindergartner, you're likely with that child for, 13 years. So if we can get this done, this is one thing to check off, but this is in no way solving our special education issues.
Thank you so much for that clarification. I really appreciate it and look forward to making sure all the costs are paid for our special education students. But I'll support this in the meantime, just to make sure that we keep looking at it and keep supporting. And maybe we should change it from excess cost to, costs that are required. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely. And additional conversations for the future will include, those additional weights on the ECS formula for those identified. So hopefully that will also be able to help a number of districts out. Representative Cooley, good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, on this bracket Monday. And just remember, when your brackets bust Thursday, there's no crying, and NCAA brackets and go UConn.
I'm the wrong guy for sports ball, Representative.
But I couldn't help myself. I had to get that out. I'm dealing with the AI. I'm having a Cassandra moment here for those that remember their Greek myth. I don't see really any pedagogic benefit to either the teacher or the students to AI, because AI ends up doing the work for you. From a teaching point of view, if you're using it to produce lesson plans or anything on that end, that means that the educator is disengaged from the creation, the planning, which I don't think is positive. Students using it, they're not working their brains, the computer's doing the work for them. So I have serious concerns about going down the AI road. I totally understand that I'm being a bit of a Luddite and a 20th century curmudgeon to many of our younger people watching this, but I do think it's needs to be raised, because I do think there are serious concerns in terms of where we're bringing AI into the classroom. The purpose of the classroom is to engage the students, get the students thinking. And the only way for educators to do that is for them to be thinking as well. And I see AI as essentially short-circuiting that relationship. So I'm essentially going to vote no on this, just as a flag for AI, so that we really think where we're going with this. We also have the social media component in here, and I don't think that we did, as a society, a good job in how social media was going to impact in the classroom, in the schools, and we as a committee are trying to deal with that. And I don't want to see a repeat with AI, the problems we had with social media that we're still dealing with a decade and a half after its really explosion in society. So I'm more of doing my Cassandra moment, and I do understand that I probably will get run over on this by the course of history, but I figured I should still kind of go and do my yelling against the wind. Thank you.
I'm sure some AI tool out there heard you and will find you. So, and I would never consider you a curmudgeon representative. Yeah, you know, and I think it might be beneficial if you have a chance to speak with CEA, AFT, CABE, CAPS. They've been meeting for quite a while now, having these conversations, because I think they share a lot of the concerns that you just discussed, and they're truly trying to find an appropriate place for this in the classroom, and also recognizing and clearly spelling out what is not an appropriate place for this. But I appreciate those comments today. Any other? Representative Cook?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe the AI horse has already left the building. So my question would just be a clarification, and it might not be called out here, and it might be an early conversation for what might come future. So as we're setting AI policy, are we looking to do a statewide policy with individual districts' ability to increase that policy, as we've often seen, where there's a minimum standard of policy, and then we can have a district level to elevate that if we chose to? I fear if we end up doing district by district policy, then that becomes sometimes difficult. But a minimal policy, and I don't even want to use the minimal and less standards, but in a policy set here, and then with a threshold that we have to reach for protection of every student. And then if the district looks to go beyond that, that would be each district's decision. And it might not be in here, so I'm just looking for clarification. And if it's not, then we move forward.
Yes. Yeah. So it does talk about developing or selecting and utilizing an artificial intelligence tool that can be used by educators and students. And again, I think this is one of the things that we're going to probably be talking about every session, because just when you think you've gotten there, everything else has already changed. And so hopefully being able to address kind of what that floor is each year will likely be the charge of this and other committees.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think that we would all be naive to think that every conversation that we have isn't heard. Every conversation isn't already recorded. And if we carry one of these devices, they hear you.
They gotcha.
So it is truly going to be about what we can do as advanced as possible to protect our children, and continue to make them use their brains and not the AI brain. But at the same time, figure out a way to incorporate that where it helps build their education as opposed to relax their education. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions? Senator Berthel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of comments. Some have already been made. I think that Senate Bill 5 that's before us is very much going to be a work in progress. You know, it will likely have a very large fiscal note when it gets to the floor and then over to approach, specifically as it addresses section number 1, which we all believe strongly is so very important. We see the effects, we hear of the challenges that our towns and cities have with respect to excess cost. And I think the right position for us to be in is to try to help and address that to the best of our ability. You know, I think a yes vote today could change to a no, depending on that fiscal note or vice versa. So, you know, we'll reserve some judgment for the floor debate on this bill as it moves through the process. And I think section 5, with respect to the social media piece and the comments that have already been made by others, speaks to the need for a work in progress. I think that what I would like to see in this particular section is for that pilot program to be much more clearly defined. You know, what is the scope? What is, and I know there's some of it in here now, but I think we should be very deliberate and careful in making sure, as Representative Cooley spoke to, that we're not necessarily villainizing social media, nor are we using it or allowing the State Department of Education and the RESCs to turn it into some sort of tool for inappropriate discussions about political ideologies or things like that. So I think we need to be very deliberate in defining that scope, and that we should also be very deliberate in recognizing that we should include, of those 50 schools that will be in the initial program, that they come from all across the spectrum of our towns and cities in Connecticut. And I'm not sure if we get there, but hopefully we will. And again, I think this is a good bill with a lot of really important pieces in it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Seeing no other questions. Representative McCarty?
Yes, the only section I think we did not address was on the Care for Kids piece, with removing the baby bonds and going to Medicaid eligibility. Can you just explain which Medicaid eligibility we're referring to? My understanding that that was federal Medicaid, so this should not impact the number. If you could just
That is,
explain that, please.
that is correct.
It
You've
is.
explained, yes.
Okay, well, I just wanted to be sure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Roll call vote on SB 5 LCO 3096 JFS to the floor. Representative Curry,
Yes.
Senator McCrory,
Yes.
Representative McCarty,
Representative McCarty votes yes.
Senator Berthel,
Yes.
Representative Leeper,
Yes.
Senator Winfield, Representative Arzeno,
Representative votes yes.
Representative Belinsky,
Alinsky's a yes.
Representative Brown,
Representative Brown is yes.
Representative Candelaria,
Candelaria is a yes.
Representative Carney,
Carney votes yes.
Representative Chalesky, Representative Comey, Representative Cook, Representative Cooley,
Representative Cooley votes no.
Representative Dauphiné,
Dauphiné votes yes.
Representative Felipe,
Representative Felipe votes yes.
Senator Flexer, Representative Foncello,
Moncello votes yes.
Representative Jenga, Representative Gibson,
Representative Gibson votes yes.
Representative Haynes,
Haynes votes yes.
Senator Harding, Representative Howard, Representative Dominique Johnson,
Representative Dominic Johnson votes yes.
Representative Susan Johnson,
Representative Susan Johnson votes yes.
Representative Kennedy, Representative Khan, Senator Kushner,
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Senator Maroney,
Senator Maroney votes yes.
Representative Mara, Representative McGee,
Brett McGee votes yes.
Senator Miller,
Senator Miller votes yes.
Representative Napoli, Representative Paris, Representative Poulos,
Rep Poulos votes yes.
Representative Rader,
Representative Rader votes yes.
Representative Reddington Hughes,
Reddington Hughes votes yes.
Representative Roberts,
Representative Roberts votes yes.
Representative Emmanuel Sanchez, Representative Robert Sanchez,
Representative Robert Sanchez votes yes.
Senator Seminara,
Yes.
Representative Smith,
Smith votes yes.
Representative Welander,
Representative Welander votes yes.
and Representative Zupkis.
Again, we're holding votes open until 4 o'clock. Madam Clerk, would you please review the bills on the consent calendar and call the roll?
Roll call vote on consent calendar 1 containing SB 14 LCO 3115, HB 5346 LCO 3111, SB 286 LCO 3113, SB 287 LCO 3114, and SB 288 LCO 3112. Representative Curry,
Yes.
Senator McCrory,
Yes.
Representative McCarty,
Representative McCarty votes yes.
Senator Berthel,
Yes.
Representative Leeper,
Yes.
Senator Winfield, Representative Arzeno,
Representative votes yes.
Representative Belinsky,
Zelinski's a yes.
Representative Brown,
Rep. Brown votes yes.
Representative Candelaria,
Candelaria votes yes.
Representative Carney,
Carney votes yes.
Representative Chalesky, Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Cook, Representative Cooley,
Cooley votes yes.
Representative Dauphiné,
Dauphiné votes yes.
Representative Felipe,
Representative Felipe votes yes.
Senator Flexer,
Now dismissing.
Representative Moncello.
Moncello votes yes. Did you
One
hear
more
that?
time, Representative.
Uh.
Go ahead.
Moncello votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Jenga. Representative Gibson,
Representative Gibson votes yes.
Representative Haynes,
Haynes votes yes.
Senator Harding, Representative Howard,
Yes.
Representative Dominique Johnson,
Representative Dominic Johnson votes yes.
Representative Susan Johnson,
Representative Susan Johnson votes yes.
Representative Kennedy, Representative Khan, Senator Kushner,
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Senator Maroney,
Senator Maroney votes yes.
Representative Mara, Representative McGee,
Brett McGee votes yes.
Senator Miller.
Senator Miller votes yes.
One more time, Senator.
Senator Miller votes yes.
Representative Napoli, Representative Paris, Representative Poulos,
Rep. Poulos votes yes.
Representative Rader,
Representative Rader votes yes.
Representative Reddington Hughes,
Representative Reddington Hughes votes yes.
Representative Roberts,
Representative Roberts votes yes.
Representative Emmanuel Sanchez, Representative Robert Sanchez,
Representative Robert Sanchez votes yes.
Senator Seminara,
Yes.
Representative Smith,
Smith votes yes.
Representative Welander,
Representative Welander votes yes.
and Representative Zupkis.
All right, again, votes will be held open until 4 o'clock, at which time we will be adjourned. We will see you all again on Wednesday at 1:30 for our next committee meeting. We're in recess.
Rosalie.
One moment, Representative.
No worries. For everyone still online, I'm going to wrap up the room and then I'll get to approve.
Meeting ended.
Hi everyone, sorry about that. I had to find in room to the education suite. So we did 3 votes. We voted on HB 5416, LCO 3150, JFS2 appropriations. We voted on SB 5, LCO 3096, JFS to the floor. And we voted on consent calendar 1 containing SB 14, HB 5346, SB 286, SB 287, and SB 288. Let's start with Rep. Candelaria.
Hi, I'm not sure what I missed, but I think I voted on everything, right?
I think I got you for everything. Yeah, you're all set.
I'm all set, thank you.
Nope. Rep. McGee. Rep. McGee, I think we missed you for. Oh no, we got you for everything.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Rep. Khan.
Abby's up, I think.
Don't think Rep. Khan's there right now. Rep. Comey.
Hi, I think I have the middle one, SB 5.
couldn't find, all of a sudden my computer desktop changed. I
No
couldn't
problem.
find the button.
Yes, how would you like to vote on SB 5?
SB 5, Rep. Comey votes yes.
All right, you're all set.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
And good to have you back.
Thank you. Okay, Rep. Sanchez, I think we have you for everything. Yeah, you should be all set. And Rep. Khan, are you there? I'll ask in a couple more minutes.
Hi, Rosalie.
Hey, Representative.
I didn't miss anything, right?
Nope, you're good.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Rep Khan, are you there yet?
Hi, Representative Sanchez. Can you hear me?
Now I can. Sorry.
How's it
I-
going, Rep?
Good. How are you?
Good. Okay, so we have 3 total votes. I'm filling in for Rosalie, by the way. I'm James.
Hi, James.
We have HB 5416, LCO 3150, JFS to approves. How would you like to?
Rep Sanchez votes yes.
Okay, next we have SB 5, LCO 3096, JFS to the floor. How would you like to vote?
Rep Sanchez votes yes.
And then we have a consent calendar with 5 bills, SB 14, HB 5346, SB 286, SB 287, and SB 288. How would you like to vote?
Rep Sanchez votes yes.
Okay. You're all set.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Have a good one.
You too.
I have a good one. Hi, Senator.
Hey. All right.
So we have HB 5416, LCO 3150, JFS to appropriations. How would you like to vote?
In the affirmative.
Next, SB 5, LCO 3096, JFS to the floor. How would you like to vote?
In the affirmative on that one. I'm just a sneak preview. I'm just in the affirmative, but sure, let's go.
Okay. Consent calendar items 1 through 5, SB 14, HB 5346, SB 286, SB 287, and SB 288. How would you like to vote? Affirmative.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you're all set, Senator. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
How's it going, Representative? Oh, I think you're still muted.
Hey, James, good to see you. Sorry about that.
Good to see you as well. Ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
Okay, first we have HB 5416, LCO 3150, JFS to appropriations. How would you like to vote?
I vote in favor.
Next, we have SB 5, LCO 3096, JFS to the floor. How would you like to vote?
In the affirmative, good sir.
And finally, we have a consent calendar with line items 1 through 5, SB 14, HB 5346, SB 286, SB 287, and SB 288. How would you like to vote?
The representative votes yes. I've just voted 3 different ways for you. Look at that.
Perfect.
All the same answer.
You're all
Thank
set.
you.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Richardson.
This is Bowser, right? Which one are you on? 5216?
How's it going, Senator?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Ready to vote?
Can you hear me, James?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
All right, now I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great.
Good?
Yeah, so I'm all set to vote if you don't mind.
Okay. First, we have HB 5416, LCO 3150, JFS to approps. How would you like to vote?
Yes.
Next, we have SB 5, LCO 3096, JFS to the floor. How would you like to vote?
Yes.
Finally, we have the consent calendar with items 1 through 5, SB 14, HB 5346, SB 286, SB 287, and SB 288. How would you like to vote?
Yes.
Okay, then you're all set, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Hi, Rosalie. I am ready to vote when you are.
Hi, Representative. This is James. I'm filling in for Rosalie.
Hey.
All
Hey,
right.
give me 1 sec.
Sure, no problem.
Okay. All right, I'm ready.
1 sec. I'm just taking a vote really quick. All right, Representative. First, we have HB 5416, LCO 3150, JFS to appropriations. How would you like to vote?
5416. All right, get my notes. Can you say the bill title?
Yeah, that's an act concerning various revisions to the education statutes.
Okay, that one's yes.
Next, we have SB 5, LCO 3096, an act concerning school resources, JFS to the floor. How would you like to vote?
Yes.
Finally, we have a consent calendar with items 1 through 5, SB 14, HB 5346, SB 286, SB 287, and SB 288. And I can go through those titles if you'd
No,
like.
I know those. That's fine. It's yes.
That's a yes. Then you're all set, Representative. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.